And blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning here. Joining us now, Dr. Michael Foley, in charge of the Politically Incorrect Guide to Christianity. Dr. Foley, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Kevin.
So let's talk a little bit about the Incorrect Guide to Christianity. How incorrect are we, sir?
We are, by definition, politically incorrect. When the left coined the phrase, it was Marxists who coined it, and they had Christianity in mind as being politically incorrect par excellence.
Well, is the practice of Christianity in this country endangered, considering the cultural tilt that we've had for so many years lately?
I do think so. I mean, as Christians, we definitely can't be complacent. And you're absolutely right. There's been a cultural tilt. We just can't assume a Christian society. We can't assume a society that is even tolerant of Christianity. Ironically, Christianity is being tarred as an intolerant religion. And the more the secular left pushes that story, the more people will be intolerant towards Christianity.
Well, what about the role of Christianity in the world's religion? Obviously, as a young person, I studied the Crusades like so many of us, and yet now we have people saying the Crusaders were evil and the like. We have the jihadists that mention the Crusades. How relevant was the Crusades to what we're facing today?
Well, it's funny. Both President Clinton and Obama blamed 9/11 on the Crusades. They said that we started this kind of aggression against Islam and that 9/11 was simply retaliation. But the truth is completely the opposite. For one thing, the Crusades were a defensive measure against a very aggressive military foe. And for another, modern Islam did not have a beef against the Crusades. It wasn't some sort of wound that they were nursing. After all, they eventually won the Crusades. So it wasn't for them some kind of national humiliation. What happened was they actually picked up a storyline from liberal Western universities about the Crusades and then used that into their wove it into their own modern myth. So by the time you get to Osama bin Laden, and this myth of the Crusades is being filtered through his addled brain, the Jews are responsible for the Crusades as well. So this is all just a really distorted game of telephone.
Dr. Foley, what I don't understand is we've got a university here, Northwest Nazarene University, that for years had the name Crusaders. And now they've switched it to Nighthawks. And I'm thinking, what in the world? Because they don't want, okay, guys, if we're going to do this, let's go outside because it's kind of distracting. We've got a Christmas party going on here, and we have people making coffee and such. But anyway, Dr. Foley, Cindy, that means you on the tape too, please. But, why in the world would a Christian university give up the name Crusaders? You've studied this. To me, as a Christian, I hail the Crusaders for what they did, for what they tried to accomplish to liberate the Holy Land.
Absolutely. No, you should be proud of the Crusades, every Christian. That doesn't mean that everything the Crusaders did during the Crusades was good. It's just kind of like, it's like any war. The United States' involvement in World War II was something the United States should be proud of. And yet, of course, there were a couple of things during the war that we shouldn't have done or our soldiers shouldn't have done. So we're not saying that everything the Crusaders did was okay, but the Crusades was a just war.
And again, here you have this local, world-renowned Christian university saying that, they're an international university and, that term Crusaders could hurt them globally. And I'm going, well, tell that to Richard the Lionheart. Tell that to the people that, Dr. Foley, again, you know this more intimately than most of us here at KIDO Talk Radio. Tell that to the people in the First Crusades and the Third Crusades and what they did. I mean, we could all look at Ridley Scott's Kingdom of Heaven and sing Kumbaya, but it was a little different world than what we know today.
That's exactly right. And this brings up a bigger issue, Kevin. We have to stop giving up our story because it's no longer playing well with a politically correct crowd.
Dr. Foley, let's talk a little bit more about, I don't know if you watch television. Obviously, you're working, but I watched quite a bit of it. The new history series, Nightfall, about the Knights Templar. Your thoughts on them and how they've been portrayed historically throughout the years?
Well, that's one of the shows I do want to see because it looks quite interesting. And boy, were the Knights Templar fascinating. You're right, they become very mythical in our modern storytelling. You've got these, legends about them having this sort of esoteric teaching and keeping the Holy Grail. So that's all, Hollywood. But the Knights Templar themselves were a very impressive order. They were warrior monks. It was the first time in history that this had ever been tried, and by and large, it worked. They were both very holy, pious men and really ferocious soldiers.
Dr. Foley, finally, if, many people, and I would agree with this, that would say that we have gotten away from the doctrine of Christ in most churches, in some churches in America. There's a liberalism vibe to it, kind of almost like moral relativism creeping into the church. What would you say to that statement?
Well, I would say it's definitely a threat. It's definitely a possibility. What I have noticed is that the churches that do not liberalize or water down their message in order to be more popular are the ones that actually do better. They're the ones that retain the numbers in the pews. Ironically, when churches make the decision to become more popular, they become less popular.
Dr. Foley, if people would like to get your book, The Politically Incorrect Guide to Christianity, by the way, a great Christmas present, what can they do, sir?
They can go to Amazon, Books A Million. I mean, it's on the internet. It's probably in your local bookstore as well.
Well, thank you, sir. We'd love to have you back, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
All right. Dr. Michael Foley joining us here. Pat from Middleton, your thoughts on that? You, a practicing Christian, you've been to the Holy Land. You've been to Rome.
I've been to Rome.
Right. For some of us, that's the Holy Land, not for others. But your thoughts on what Dr. Foley said?
Well, and I agree. I mean, I was taught the Crusades in school. Of course, I was taught back in the 70s, so I had a little bit better education about how the Crusades started. And that's what the media drives me nuts about. They always talk about the bad things that happened during the Crusades, but they never talk about what actually prompted the need for the Crusades in the first place, where the Muslims were taking over and enslaving everybody and dominating and just killing everybody randomly, women, children, and enslaving the rest. And then putting them up on, I mean, the beheadings that we're seeing today are nowhere near the tragic and horrific things they would do to torture. I can't even describe some of the things on the radio.
And then you have Ridley Scott's Kingdom of Heaven that portray the Christians as the bad people, as always. Mm-hmm. Just once, I would like Hollywood to portray the Knights Templar and the Christians and the Crusades as it happened. Now, we go back to NNU. Again, as someone who studied the Crusades, knows all about the Crusades, nobody really gave him a hard time. I wrote one column and did a show about it, but really, why in the world would you get rid of the name Crusades?
Well, and then that just goes to show you that they are more concerned about a perceived image versus actually being a college that discusses facts and truth. And if you're a Christian and you know the facts and the truth about the Crusades, you should actually be very proud of being called a Crusader and not worried about, what do they call the Nighthawks now, or the Ravenhawks? Or,
the Nighthawks.
I think they're called Chicken Hawks now. But
wow. Pat from Middleton throwing the gauntlet down at NNU. Bruce, your thoughts on this at KIDO Talk Radio?
I'm tired of everybody just kowtowing because somebody goes, oh, I'm offended or I'm upset because you said this or you said that. I mean, I agree. The Crusaders weren't exactly perfect, but to me, there was nothing racist. There was nothing bad about being called a Crusader or anything else. I mean, you get away from the religious part of it. Crusader is just somebody who's going out and doing something. I mean, you could be a Crusader to raise turkeys for the homeless. You could be a Crusader to go out and paint old people's homes. I mean, to be a Crusader doesn't necessarily have to be Christianity.
All right. Well, there we have it. We'll move the mic over, but before we get to Liberty Linda, let's go to Pete in Mountain Home on KIDO Talk Radio during the Kevin Miller Christmas party. Pete, Merry Christmas.
And Merry Christmas to you and to everybody there. In the interest of being politically incorrect, I take a great deal of pleasure. I wear my NRA baseball cap every day with my first Cav pin on one side. And on the other side, I have my Christian Carry pin, which is a hat pin from ChristianCarryPins.com. And it has a armored and armed crusader on the front with a shield that has a big red Christian cross on it. And around the outside it says, "I am Christian and I carry." And then inside that there's a quote from Luke that says, "And he who has his sword, and he who has no sword, let him sell his garment and buy one." And I wear that every day in hopes of offending someone.
Well, we love that you're going to offend people during the Christmas season.
Well, you know, anyone who wants to take offense at that, go for it. That's the whole business that we aren't allowed, the whole idea that we are not allowed to offend people really, really strikes very, very hard at the First Amendment. The Supreme Court has ruled on that, and their ruling is if the First Amendment protects any speech, it is offensive speech, because you don't have to protect speech that everybody agrees with.
Pete, thank you for the call.
You bet. Thank you. And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. As we move along, before we get to Scott in Meridian, Liberty Linda, your thoughts on the NNU name change, or Cindy bouncing around talking to folks? Yes, I know that. Okay. That's the NNU name change. Yes, Crusaders. This is the only show where the callers are coaching the host, but we're good. I'm paying attention, Liberty Linda. We're good. Thank you for just making sure. Okay.
Well, one thing is that for two Crusaders, we really need to be thankful for them. That's Godfrey de Bouillon and Fulk V. Jerusalem would not be like it is today without them. And unfortunately, it looks like we're almost into the same type of a world that they were living in at that time. The things that's going on in our world, it's unbelievable. We pray for everyone all over the world. And at this time of the year, Christmas, we want to have love and thankfulness for each other and be kind to one another. Well, that's my message for that.
Okay, let's go to Scott in Meridian. Boy, a lot of phone calls today. Good to see Russell from CUNA and Tea Party Bob and everybody else joining us. Scott, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Good morning. Hey, I just wanted to comment real quickly on the NNU name change. It's not so much, I think, that NNU was afraid of offending anybody here in the U.S. or anything, but a lot of times these kids, they go travel around the world. They go to France, they go to Europe, they go to China, and if they're wearing T-shirts and sweatshirts that say NNU Crusaders on it, and you get a bunch of crazy radical Islamists over there that see that, you don't know what it could trigger. So I think it's a safety thing.
Pat?
I disagree with that. I mean, then they need to just properly educate people on the truth, because if you're going to worry about someone getting all radicalized by just something you say or have written on your shirt, then you're not confident in what you even believe in.
Well, the problem is it's not the kids that are concerned. And are they going to go talk to the person that's driving the truck bomb down the street that got ticked off because they saw him?
Well, they drive the truck bombs down the streets regardless.
Yeah, exactly. They don't need a prompting.
Okay, but you don't know what triggers these things, and it could be something as simple as some crazy lone wolf attacker that sees a Crusader sweatshirt.
So we should live our lives.
Worrying about being triggered.
Well, I didn't see anybody wearing a Crusader sweatshirt recently in London and Paris. They did it anyway.
True.
No, I see your point, and that's why Scott. I see your point, and it is a valid one, and that's why people that are in the military they dress as civilians when they go. But we appreciate
exactly. Are they not proud of the flag when they go out?
Oh, you haven't given that up. All right, Scott. We've got to go, but you're more than welcome to swing in here if you'd like. Got a full room here this morning.
Cool. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, he's fired up. We're going to take Patriot Ray, then Hank, then back to the thing. This is so. Terry, who was the first person here, This is a tough one. We've almost gone to 7:30, and we haven't heard from Tea Party Bob.
Where is Tea Party?
No, Terry. Never mind. That was a cue to talk. Okay. Let's move on. Somebody take Terry's microphone. He's not going to use it. Let's go to.
There you go, Bob. You can have it.
Hey guys, let's just follow the theme of the program. Pat understands this. Let's go to Patriot Ray at KIDO Talk Radio. Can you already tell the stress level is rising in this?
Hey, Ray.
It's getting higher every time I'm listening here. All
Yes.
the time. But Merry Christmas to everybody. God bless Kevin for all that you do. I'm sorry I couldn't get in this morning. I had issues last night that I had to take care of. But we are so grateful for the opportunity to come in all the years. I've spent time with you, talk about issues that concerned us. You've never stopped us in our opinions. Grateful for that. There are so many people that get offended. We're so thin-skinned anymore that any said or done offends people. They choose to be offended. They can choose not to be offended. They choose. So I'm sorry for them. I pray that.
Has he moved out to the hinterlands?
God wants. What was that?
Well, we can't hear you. Your phone keeps cutting out.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on 1 second, and I will straighten that. Is that better?
Sure.
Is that better? Okay. So as we go forward, we choose to be offended. It's our choice, and we can choose not to be offended. So let's just pray to our God that we have the integrity to move forward and love people and love the way that He wants us to. We make the choices in our lives, so I'm choosing to always do the best I can, to be the best person I can be, so that I can help people, not offend them, hopefully. But if they choose to be offended, that's their choice.
All right, Patriot Ray.
God bless you, Kevin Miller. You take care. Have a great day.
God
Merry
bless
Christmas.
You. Is your name Kevin Miller?
No, but I want to say Merry Christmas.
It's what you want to do. Is that the deal?
Hey, I'm here. I get my shot. I'm on the FM radio, man.
Mary.
See, this is what happens when Tea Party Bob isn't here early in the morning. Now there's no order in this place.
It doesn't
then
matter
Terry
if he's
grabs
here
his
or
mic,
not. I'll
then
do the
takes it
same.
back, and that sort of thing. It is the Kevin Miller Christmas party here at KIDO Talk Radio. You're welcome to swing in, or we'll take your phone calls. We've got a ton of people here. We want to hear from them. We'll also do the end of the year song where Tea Party Bob will lead us in singing Merry Christmas. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. And we continue on. We'll just take Hank while everybody is talking. It is the Kevin Miller Christmas party. Hank, good morning.
Good morning. You talk about the train derailment. I'll give you a piece of trivia, historical trivia before I get to my two main points. But Ulysses S. Grant was on a railroad train from the New York and Long Branch Railroad, and his train went over some tracks on June 30th, 1882, which killed 3 people and injured 70. Grant, luckily, only had a cut leg in his car, and he managed to crawl out of the railroad car, fell into the creek. So you might be President of the United States was in a train derailment of similar type.
Interesting.
And as far as getting to my main point about political correctness, there's an old phrase in the Bible, and I might throw this out to upset the political correct people. Yerushalayim harim savivla, Adonai savivla mo, me'atad adolam. And it says, Jerusalem, the hills surround you, and the Lord God will enfold His people from now on forever. I can't think of anything more politically incorrect to the liberals and maybe to the Islamic thing. Every time we defer to avoid offending our Islamic friends, we are in a sense submitting to their religious view and submitting to the thing. True tolerance is that we can all proclaim our religion without fear or without disrespect. You can be respectful, but we shouldn't suppress our religion, our culture, our religion in the name of not offending somebody, because in effect you're submitting to them.
Hank,
and that's not tolerance.
All right, Hank, Merry Christmas. Traffic and weather together. And we continue on with the Kevin Miller Christmas party. Terry, are you going to say anything, or are you just going to sit back?
My mind's still back to the Templars, Kevin. The piece of history that they wrote. because they were men of honor, dignity. And I guess I view myself as a Templar. It's like, with a family that 56 people served in the Civil War, I don't know how many in the Revolutionary War, I have that Templar heart. And I feel like at that point where Obama we were just reeking of the filth that came out of his mind and his heart, that I thought the Templars were going to have to be resurrected.
Wow, bring back the Templars. All right, coming up next, the return of Tea Party Bob, Russell from CUNA, all that and more. Plus, we still have an hour and a half left of the Kevin Miller Christmas party. We'd love for you to stop by and just give us your Christmas greetings. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie. And we're back here, the Kevin Miller Christmas party, continuing on.
First time.
Who needs Festivus? By the way, we will have the airing of the grievances, which really would be about 3 hours of this show. Joining us now is the publisher of the... Can you stop talking, please?
Okay, I'm going to stop talking now.
It's interesting. You have people come in, and they want to be on the radio, and the first thing they do is they sit back and they engage in the social aspect of it, and they forget that they're on the radio, except for Pat. But anyway, let me introduce the power panel here. We've got Pat from Middleton, Bruce from Boise, Cindy from Caldwell, sometimes Wilder, Liberty Linda, Terry, formerly of State College, Pennsylvania, Russell from CUNA, and the sweet prince of the Treasure Valley, Tea Party Bob.
Good morning, Mr. Miller, and how are you today?
Well, you're a little late today. I'm very disappointed in you.
I had a problem. See, since I'm a single parent now, I had to take Max out for a walk.
Right, Max would be your dog.
He's much more important than you. You know that.
Right, I understand that, but proper planning, you could have done it at 5 in the morning as opposed to 6
no,
or 6:30.
I used to do that with you, but I don't do that anymore.
Well, thank you for your continued commitment. We move on to Russell in CUNA. Russell, good to have you with us here on KIDO Talk Radio. Now, Pat from Middleton has the honor of being on the show. One of the first people, and he's going to take issue with me, but the first caller to the show was Russell from CUNA, I believe.
I believe that was true, too, and it's been an honor and a privilege ever since. I wanted to share with you, Kevin, that within the past 2 years, that that I had been in a religious transition, not quite understanding. But now at this Christmas season, I'd like to wish everybody a Christ Mass. The reason for the season is Christmas. And as of 2 years ago, I've become a born-again Christian. And,
amen, brother. Welcome to the fold.
Yes. And at the time, my wife thought that I'd gone crazy, and she has now become a born-again Christian herself.
Amen.
So
that's good news. But you are crazy, so
I am crazy.
That didn't drop because you became a Christian.
No, I'm still the same Russell, but all of my praise goes to the Lord Jesus Christ, and
amen.
It's been a very, very happy time for me.
We have a hallelujah, brothers.
Now, Pat just can't help himself. Well, Russell, it's always a pleasure to have you here. We appreciate you always being with us at KIDO Talk Radio. Let's go to Liberty Linda, who never hesitates to jump into the microphone. Liberty Linda, you want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas before we get back to the airing of the grievances.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Merry Christmas to everyone. And at this season, family is the most important thing. To get with family and just love each person and their uniqueness. Each person's uniqueness is so important at this time of Christmas.
Indeed. Now, we haven't had, Cindy, you can, don't be shy. You can jump in if you want. But, Liberty Linda, people have been, we've invited kind of tongue-in-cheek here, all the people running for office. So far, no one has shown up. But earlier, before you got here, the boys were a little tougher on your guy, Dr. Ahlquist. And you're a big supporter of Dr. Ahlquist. And Dr. Ahlquist listens to this program. If he's not doing anything, he'd swing in. If David Leroy or Russ Fulcher or Nick Henderson or anybody else, Michael Snyder wants to show up, Christy Perry, they're more than welcome. But your thoughts on Dr. Ahlquist running for governor?
Well, they're all wonderful guys that are running. But, I know Dr. Ahlquist. I've been in church and heard him speaking, and the Spirit was on me so strongly. I know he's a good man. I know he loves Idaho. And I prayed about it, and I feel that he is the one that should be our next governor.
There you have it, Pat.
Well, you're right. They're all good people. We have a great group of people in our state of Idaho. Idaho's a great place to live. It generates.
What are you running for office here?
No, but I think because of his lack of political experience, I think he builds great buildings, and I think Raw Labrador probably has the better pulse on the conditions of what's going on and how to work.
But you were not invited to his birthday party.
I wasn't.
Okay, you weren't. I wasn't. Ray Amaya wasn't.
Well,
were you invited to Tea Party, Bob?
No, but I've interviewed all of them.
Well, hold on. So you weren't invited either. That's just the record, though. So you jumped on the mic there. You're ready to go.
Well, look, when it comes to politics, there are politicians and there are builders. As far as I'm concerned, Tommy Ahlquist does a great job at urban renewal. I'm not so sure how he's going to do when it comes to running a state. I don't dislike the guy. I've met him. I've spent a lot of time talking to him. I think he's a fair person. I think he takes too much advantage and plays too close to the vest with the politicians and the cronies of the state. If it weren't for that, I would have a much different opinion of him, and I would have a lot more respect for him. Labrador, I know he's got a history. Some of it's good, some of it's not. But I understand him. I've seen what he does. I know how he votes. And I understand the animal. I don't understand somebody who becomes a doctor for 18 years, then becomes a developer. I mean, being a doctor is a great talent. It's something that not everybody has. To take that and to put it aside and become a builder, doing all this urban development work, and now all of a sudden deciding, well, maybe I should be a politician. Wonderful, wonderful. But, make your mind up what you really want to do.
Well, he was at Mar-a-Lago last night, and I got to tell you, he's got a lot of initiative. Russell, your thoughts here on KIDO Talk Radio. So when we go to Russell, we got to move the mic over. We used to have 5 mics, but somebody stole one, so we're down to 4. But thankfully, we have headphones for most of the staff here. Russell?
The whole time I've always been in Raul Labrador's corner.
You were one of his original, you and Tea Party Bob were one of his original folks. I don't know about Pat.
I liked Raul Labrador from the very beginning.
Okay, Pat.
Well, I felt a kinship to Raul the first time that I met him. He's a very personable person, shakes your hands, looks you straight in the eye, and I felt an honesty in his political views. I was converted from the first time I shook his hand, and I think that he would make a wonderful, wonderful governor. And I love the fact that even though he moved from out of state to be here, he has made Idaho his home. He loves Idaho just as much as all the rest of us.
So another Congressman Labrador. Nobody's talking about Brad Little here. What about you, Terry?
Well, I hear through the agricultural community that Brad Little is a favorite, and they think that he would do even a better job.
Now, what do you think?
What do I think?
Yeah, I got Pat running for office. I got you being an analyst. I mean, you liked that one, didn't you?
Oh, well, okay. I think that Bob has Mr. Ahlquist in a box, because I know a carpenter that became the greatest spiritual leader the world's ever known. I know many fishermen actually, that became emissaries to the Christian faith. So to go from a doctor to a builder could have just been a natural progression.
I feel like an underachiever around him a lot, around all these guys, actually. Liberty Linda, and then we'll go to Cindy as we try and stir everybody up here at KIDO Talk Radio for our company Christmas party. Liberty Linda?
Well, we were talking about
these guys were pretty harsh on Dr. Ahlquist. Yeah.
And that he has changed, from being a doctor and a builder, and now he's running for governor. Well, sometimes we're inspired to do different things. I feel that Dr. Ahlquist was inspired, that he had a calling for this, and that's why I support him. And that's why I believe that he's running for governor. And as I said before, they're all wonderful candidates. But I just feel that through inspiration, and I like to live by the Spirit, and so that I'm going with the Spirit this time.
All right, there we have it. Now, Cindy, you said, I can't wait to talk, I never get enough time, and then you've been just running around being the social butterfly here at KIDO Talk Radio. So what are your thoughts?
Well, one, In voting for someone who I would want to lead this state, although I, as you know, can be very passionate and feeling about things, I also rely on facts and truth. That's why I believe the 66 books of the Bible, because they're all factually can be proven true. And everything that I have heard and seen since I moved to this state and first meeting Raul Labrador, I've been back and forth with him in letters over the mail about some things that I agreed with, but he draws a line in the sand and he backs it up. Especially with this election for our President of the United States. He was the one person who tried to get the Republican Party together, especially when I was over in Caldwell. And not my first choice, the president, Ted Cruz, and I liked Ben Carson, etc. But he seemed to have a vision for pulling the people together. I know he is strong pro-life. I can look him in the eye, and I totally believe that. Ethically, I believe what he says to me as far as how he feels about immigration, and most recently what he did. I see it very recently in campaigning for
now
our
Pat's
president.
looking at me that said if I let Pat go on like that, I would have smacked him already. So,
well, you can.
Congressman no, I'm not going to smack you. But I'll smack Pat.
No, I don't mean that. I meant verbally.
No. We don't verbally smack anymore.
He doesn't have the arm length.
I don't have it anymore. Anyway, Bruce, your thoughts here? Well, wait a minute. Bruce got an invitation to the birthday party.
Yeah.
So
I guess I'm a little more special. I don't know.
Yes, he is.
He's been patting himself on the back all day.
Yeah, okay, people are talking about backgrounds. Personally, I really don't like these career politicians who start out from birth to when they hit the presidency, that's what they're going to do. I believe our founding fathers put into place that we, me, you, whoever would go up and represent our fellow man and then go back to whatever they did as a daily job. Alquist, I really don't know that much. I know the questions that the media ask, and that's it. I have never had a chance to sit down, talk to him, and find out. Raul, I have talked to a few times.
Right, you got an invitation to the birthday party.
Okay, yes, I got an invitation through the email.
He's part of the elite, man.
Oh.
I guess I'm not on the list.
I notice I'm not even close enough to touch him.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm still waiting for my white privilege to cut in, but that hasn't happened yet either, so.
Keep waiting.
Yeah. I'll be 53 in January. I'm still waiting.
Terry, any thoughts here?
You know, if we had a developer that could become president, I guess we have a man that can go from doctor to developer to governor.
There we have it. Milt in Middleton, 2 Fly-Bry. We're waiting for breakfast, 2 Fly-Bry. We're very
hungry.
Yes, Pat's hungry. I'm hungry. The Christmas party continues. We'd love for you to stop by here at the Broadcast Center. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Okay, we continue on here at KIDO Talk Radio. We've got Liberty Linda talking to right-wing Jared. We've got Pat. Pat, can you bring us back to sanity here?
Oh, you're asking the wrong guy for that.
All right, Russell, back to you. We were talking about the governor's race.
Yeah, once again, each one of the candidates that I have listened to all have their good strong points, and each one of the people that are in here today can talk about them and say, for this reason that'd be good, and for that reason, you know. But still, I feel very, very strong about Raul Labrador, and I just think that he should be the one that should be our next governor. He's already been to Washington. He knows the system, and I think he knows how to get things done.
Well, look, I think anybody that shows up for the Christmas party might get my vote. But let's go to Milt. Well, look, it's all about supporting the platform here. I got to look out for the show. Somebody has to. Milt, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Good morning. Yeah. I was thinking this morning, I thought of a new name for President Obama. And I just thought he went into office and slept for 8 years, so we call him Rip Van Winkle.
Well, he put all of us to sleep.
Yeah. And,
let me make myself clear.
President Trump, he's a and schedules for Obama. He started at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Well, do you want to
But
wish
he's
everybody
gone, so
a Merry Christmas, Milt?
Merry Christmas to you.
All right. Merry Christmas indeed. We continue on. Now, here's a young man that does a lot. Right-wing Jared, what would you like to say?
Well,
You're from California.
Yes, sir. Northern California, though. Predominantly Republican.
Okay, what do you want to say about the governor's race?
I'm for Tommy Alquist. I feel, regardless of his background, I feel like he's one of the people. I think someone mentioned it earlier.
Well, we're going to feed you to the wolves. Tea Party Bob, why don't you why don't you smack him on this one for entertainment purposes?
One of your people that you call him one of the people? Okay.
No.
This is the guy that was like this neck and neck with Custra. This is a guy who supports Mayor Beater. This is a guy who donated $5,000 plus more to Belukov's campaign. Tell me, is he a Democrat, is he Republican, or is he just running to have fun?
All right, Jared.
He has a bad background check.
Now, you said he donated to a campaign?
Both Belukov and Beater.
Okay, so, and that's bad, I assume.
That's bad when you're supporting the opposition party.
That's kind of like a
So did
band.
Trump.
Belukov and Beater.
Was this before he knew he was going to run for governor?
You tell me. Do you think it was before he knew he was going to run for governor?
In Jared's defense, he's moved here recently from California. He's a person that loves politics, was fired up about the Crusades, so he may not have the background of, let's say, an astute young man like Pat from Middleton. However, Jared, back to you.
So are you saying that opposition campaign, so the Democrats? He donated to the Democrats.
Do you understand this man was recommended to be drafted for the Democratic Party to run on the Democratic ticket for governor? I have the letter from Phyllis King. Okay?
Now,
I brought it out.
Now, Terry brings up a point that people said that about Donald Trump as well.
Well,
he could have been nominated by the Democrats just as easily, Bob.
Okay, it's just like remember Walt Minnick, who was a Democrat who ran on the Republican ticket because he knew he'd get elected.
Hold on, Walt Minnick.
Walt Minnick, the gimmick.
Never
gimmick.
heard that phrase before.
Yeah. This is a predominantly conservative Republican state, and if you want to get elected anything, you got to really run on the Republican ticket and have a good Republican platform. And with his construction background, he's got a good track record of development. And everybody thought Trump was a Democrat and liberal because he donated to both sides. But if you go back 30 years ago when he was interviewed,
I don't know what he's saying. Does anybody?
Does anybody know what Pat's saying, Jared?
I do.
Okay.
He's speaking the truth right there.
He's speaking. I don't know what
but
he's saying.
Alquist is playing both sides to get on the Republican ticket.
Alquist has vision.
Get in there, Liberty Linda. Get him.
Well, Dr. Alquist is very conservative.
Guess we should oil the microphone stands.
Yeah,
but anyway,
that would be nice.
Not everyone can be an astute Republican like yourself, Tea Party Bob, but I think some people go through life learning and changing their worldly views. And if Tommy Alquist did something in his past, I go with my gut. I go with my feeling. When I shake hands with someone and talk with someone, I get a feeling about him. And I feel like this gentleman is the one I want to lead this state into the future.
That's what the Holy Spirit gives us. He says he'll lead us into all truths.
We really got to get these mic stands oiled. But anyway, you're listening to Kevin Miller and the crew here for the Christmas party at KIDO Talk Radio. Go ahead, Tea Party Bob.
If you're going to go with your gut, all right? I don't go with my gut when I'm talking about somebody who's going to run a state, okay? We've had 12 years of horse manure with Governor Otter. If you think it's going to change and the stink is going to get any better with somebody without any experience who's a good builder, fine. Be a good builder. Continue to build. Stop using my money to build.
Yes, we can write off Governor Otter ever coming back on this program.
But I'm not about to vote for somebody who says they can be a good governor. I want somebody who's proven that they have been in politics, they understand the politics, and they know the issues.
Those
a career politician.
Those are the views and comments of Tea Party Robert reflected in the Gem State Patriot.
Don't you have that disclaimer?
They don't review the exactly. Traffic and weather together. As I was saying, it's pretty bad when Pat's the good one of the group.
Oz has been exposed.
We'll never forget it.
All right, we continue on. One more hour of the Christmas party. And by the way, Tea Party Bob, we still haven't had a candidate come by.
Are you leaving?
You know, it's kind of amazing that we haven't seen anybody come by. I would expect at least one of them can drop by. I know Labrador is back there doing a vote on the tax thing, so he's not coming.
Well, he
by.
was at his birthday party last night.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he's
that I wasn't
flown
invited
back.
to. That Pat wasn't. That Ray Amaya wasn't invited to. That Terry wasn't invited. Russell,
I was invited.
Were you invited, Russell? No. So.
Well, at least Pat and I were invited.
We didn't, Pat wasn't invited. No, Ray Amaya wasn't invited. No.
I couldn't make it. I had things to do.
Yeah, he's a big star. All right, much more coming up next. KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.